Hello, computer students. This is Mr. Bornheimer. Today we're going to be looking at clouds. Not literally, because this is computers. We're not going outside. We're just going to make them look neat on a computer. Okay? Okay. Now, you need to create an empty canvas. Fill it in with a nice sky color. Perhaps blue. Okay, now you may follow the next step or two. Otherwise, skip it and use a gradient tool instead. It is preferred you do not skip the next step. All right, so anyway, essentially what you need to do is you need to create this like bluish color, and then you kind of need to, use a gradient, whatnot. I'm just going to start with a gradient. So I'm going to go to my tools here, my foreground color, and I'm going to pick something that looks skyish. Okay, so I put my little slider thing here in a blue range. I'm going to start with something like this. And then my background is going to be something a little lighter, so not quite bluish. All right, it's going to be bluish, but it's going to be like a lighter blue, or maybe something like that. All right, so that might be too blue. We gotta go maybe a little bit more towards this direction. All right, now I'm going to apply a gradient, and I want my gradient to be foreground to background. Obviously, with the darker part being near the top. And my computer's thinking. Got to give it a minute. It's thinking. I'll pause while it's thinking. Okay, done thinking. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead and drag this gradient down. There it is. There it is. There's the sky. And it's a little lighter down here. It's a little darker up here. Fantastic. If you want it to be a little closer to the picture, you can play around with it. So I'll just go ahead and I'll play around with this some more. I'll get it closer to the picture. Okay, probably a little bit more over here. Let's go over here. Let's maybe something like that. Okay, and now we can go ahead and choose a gradient, and we'll go something like that. Okay? All right, so now that we have that, we're going to go ahead, and if you did three different, like if you did a dodge tool and you were to do three different shades, you could smudge them. That's okay. If you were to do a smudge kind of thing, all right, if so, like you want to find the dodge tool, here it is, and you were to kind of, let's say I pick a big dodge tool and I were to go across like this, I could smudge some things. So you notice over here there's a smudge tool. If I make it really big, okay, so I pick a big brush like this one, I can smudge some of those lines. And if you continue to smudge and blend, eventually you don't notice the lines at all. But I just used a gradient, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to undo all of that, and I like what I have here. Okay, so step 3. Dodge tool again, set dodge, and make a rough cloud-shaped blob. This is very scientific. Okay, you're going to make a blob. All right, now blobs come in all shapes and sizes. It doesn't really matter what shape and size you choose, as long as it's a blob. We're not talking rectangles. We're not talking circles. We're not talking triangles. We're talking the very scientific blob here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to select the dodge tool. You're going to have a big circle. I might want to scale this down a little bit. Here it is. I'm just going to, yeah, I like that there. Or instead, I could click a couple of times, or I could just do it in one surefire sweep. There it is. Done. Blob, scientifically created. All right. Now, you want to smudge the edges to make it puffy. Okay? So, in order to give it a little puff, we're going to smudge. Okay? Very scientifically, again, very, very, direct. So I'm going to go ahead and select this smudge tool here. And I'm going to go ahead and make the circle big. I'm also going to go ahead and choose this circle fuzzy. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead now, and this is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to just start. I'm going to start smudging the edges here. It's going to take a little bit of time, okay, because it goes in very, very small increments. Essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to give it that wispy effect, like clouds when you see them, they're kind of wispy, because the air currents in the upper atmosphere. So just continuing to smudge here. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, I'm going to pause this, and when I'm done smudging, we'll pick up right where we start. All right. You'll see that I've got it all smudged. Next thing, you're going to use the same dodge settings as before. You're going to make another blob on top of a blob. Okay, again, very scientific here. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to make this one a little smaller. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead. Okay, you'll notice mine's fuzzy. If you want it to be sharp-edged again, okay, go ahead and select, one of these solid circle brushes, and then you'll notice that the edges will be sharper again. You kind of want to follow the outline of your first cloud, but you don't have to perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, what it asks you to do, okay, smudge again. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my smudge tool, and I'm going to start smudging again. This time I'm going to smudge, 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 smudge. Okay, and now it's adding some depth and some dimension because I have a smudge on top of a smudge. There's some different color variations. Okay, we're blending, essentially. You don't have to use the same uniform either. You could make some more areas more wispy than others. Okay, so there I have that. Step 5. Now pick a smaller brush using Now using the dodge tool on the same settings, scribble little outlines in some parts of the cloud, mostly the bottom and some sides. Don't overdo this. So you'll notice in the picture they kind of give you some examples. So I'm going to go ahead and select my dodge. I'm going to select a small brush, maybe like a tiny, like maybe this one here. Yeah. Okay, and I'm just going to do some scribbling. Okay, so I'm going to scribble here, and I'm going to scribble here. I'm going to scribble up here. You know what? I don't think that's small enough. Your Control-Z, the undo quick keyboard shortcut, is going to be your friend, okay? Because you undo so many different things. I want a finer circle here, and now I'm going to go ahead and do this a little bit more. There we go. I'm a little bit happier with that. And you can go over top a little bit, just give it a little layering. That's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to do those. Maybe I'll throw a little one in here. Okay, you don't want to overdo it like they said. Now again, you want to smudge. Okay, so I'm going to go to smudge. I'm going to choose just a slightly larger brush. Maybe go even a little larger than that. I'm going to go with the faded one. Okay, so Circle Fuzzy 15. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and smudge this a little bit. So it looks like light's hitting the clouds in different spots. Okay, you'll notice it's starting to really kind of start to look more and more like a cloud. We're getting some depth and some dimension. Okay, and there it is. All right, step 6. Okay, you're going to add some more. You're going to add some more burn and some more dodge and some more burn and some more dodge. Okay, and essentially you're going to do this until you've built more and more depth into the cloud. So I'm going to go ahead and select burn, and I'm going to go with a sharp circle, something like this, and I'm going to burn only parts of the interior of my cloud. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to burn, I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and just, I'm clicking burn a lot here. I want a lighter region here. Okay, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to burn inside that. I'm going to burn inside that, and my area is getting smaller and smaller until I have a lighter region there. I'm going to burn a little bit there. And now, like before, you smudge. Okay, so I've got my smudge tool, and I'm going to go through, I'm going to smudge these edges. You can hold the smudge tool down and just move the mouse around. Okay, because there's actually, it's smudging at a particular rate. You can make it smudge faster or smudge slower. Okay, so if I were to make it smudge faster, and I were just to do that, you see that it drags more of it out. I'm going to undo that. Okay, if I were to go really high on my rate, I could make it go even, see how I can kind of drag it, the material around it, kind of like holds onto it and disperses it over a larger area. I don't want to do that either. I'm going to turn the rate back down, and I'm going to continue some of this smudging. Until I essentially have what looks to be a cloud. Now, I can keep doing this until I make it really puffy. You notice the one in here is really puffy. Maybe I want a little bit of even brighter region right here. So I'm gonna burn a little bit more right in here. And now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna smudge it. Okay, maybe I'll throw a burn up, up here. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna smudge it. Okay, maybe I'm going to smudge a little bit more down here. Okay, so I've done some things there, and now I have a cloud. And this would be good. If you wanted to adjust this cloud, for instance, let's say you wanted to make it so it looked like give it a little bit more depth. You wanted to make it look like there were some other clouds around it. You could take the burn tool, and you could scale it down a little bit, and maybe just go out here in the voided area and just kind of zip around a little bit. And then with your smudge tool, okay, I'm going to actually make this a really large circle. Go out there and I'm going to smudge that line. And you want to smudge that a lot because you don't really want it to look like a line. You want it to look like wispy clouds in the background. Okay, so maybe I'll smudge it real briefly, go around. It's still going to look like a line. Okay, it still kind of looks like a line. But I'm going to go ahead and just up the rate a little bit. And now I'm going to make this a fuzzy. And now I'm starting to really get rid of that line effect. I'm just going around, and it's really just blurring it up. Blend a lot of things. If you go over an area a lot, it really starts to spread it out. On the right-hand side you can see there's even a lot of lines. The line effect is very prevalent. Okay, now if you wanted to let's say you wanted to add the effect where you wanted to make it look like it's moving to the left or right. If you were to take that smudge tool and you were to just streak it a little bit, so you're like, I'm pressing and I'm smudging the backside of the cloud to the right, kind of making it look like the wind is taking off with it a little bit. I'm down a little bit. Okay, then come through with, the smudge and kind of just smudge those lines a little bit. All right. I'm going to turn the rate down here a little bit. All right, and there's your cloud. All right, and it's got some dimension. It looks like the light's hitting it. You can do that. You can make it a number of different shapes, sizes, whatever. You can make it look like fish. You could make it look like a bird. You can make it look like really anything you want. Okay, that's the end of this recording. I hope that helped. If you have any questions, you can email me. Thank you for watching. Have a good afternoon.